Okay. Hello. I can't wait to tell you what happened. Just gotta leave you there. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. So, first thing, there was a body found at Norma's house. All right. There was a body found in the pool at Norma's house. Right. But you gotta wait. I can't tell you more about that. We have to go back in time for all of this to make sense. All right. So you remember Joe? He was kind of struggling to get work. You know, he wasn't really getting much work. He was struggling with his screenwriting. Okay, so he went to his producer, Sheldrake, and he was asking, yeah, get my scripts in, all of that. Wasn't working, right? Then he met Betty there. Okay, pause Betty for a second. Put her in your back pocket. We're going to come back to her. Okay, so he's asking for all this stuff and it wasn't working. His scripts were getting rejected. Then he was asking for money other places, etc. It wasn't really working, right? So then we find out that he's actually got a debt. Yeah, Buddy Joe's got a debt for his car. Okay, so he owed all this money to these debt collectors for his car, and he lied saying that his mate borrowed it, right? But in reality, he had it parked somewhere else. Okay, so as he's like driving around, these debt collectors like find him. Okay, then he starts driving, trying to escape them, and he goes to what he thinks is an abandoned house. Lol, it was Norma's house. Okay, he parks in Norma's house thinking it was empty. Right, so they end up letting him in because they think he's the undertaker because her monkey died and they were going to do a service for him. So that's what they think Joe is. So Joe's sort of sitting there like, what is going on? Anyway, it becomes apparent pretty quickly that that's not what he's there for. But then he ends up mentioning that he's a screenwriter. Okay, and Norma like perks up and she's like, oh, my opportunity, because she's been writing a script called Salome for her comeback back into Hollywood. But then Joe starts thinking, I don't really want to get involved in this. But then she starts offering him a job for it. So then he's thinking, okay, I can work, I can get more money, I can pay off the debt collectors, right? So both of them are sort of thinking, yeah, we can benefit from this. All right, let's go ahead with it. But Norma's being very sort of assertive and pushy. Joe thinks she's a bit nuts, but he just agrees because of what he needs, right? Because he's like been struggling to find work. Anyhow, Norma ends up letting him stay there. Okay, she wants him to stay there. And he goes, okay, even better, escape from the debt collectors. So he agrees, okay? He agrees for the time, but he ends up actually moving in. So like Max, the butler, and Norma end up having all this stuff brought over and his rent paid for. So he ends up moving in while he's like doing the edits and the rewrites for her script. But after some time, Joe's like, this woman is not all right. Okay, things are not all right. Things are just a bit weird. She becomes really like obsessive and she's sort of detached from reality. Like she still thinks that people care about her as an actress, but she hasn't been in Hollywood in so long and like Hollywood's like moved on away from her, right? Anyway, and then Norma also starts buying him a lot of stuff, like really expensive things. And so he's sort of like stuck in between of like, yeah, she's a bit nuts and yeah, but you know, I'm getting things out of it and I'm avoiding the debt collectors and all these things. But then the debt collectors end up finding his car there and they give it to Norma and Max organize for them to take the car. So Joe's kind of stuck there. Anyway, Norma starts becoming a little bit more like romantically obsessed with him. Like she's clearly keen on him, right? Clearly keen. Anyhow, so then he feels a bit frustrated and suffocated at one New Year's Eve party event that she hosts. He thinks it's an actual party. Lol, no, it wasn't. It was just for the two of them. So he ends up leaving. And when he leaves, he goes to his old mate's house, Artie. And we find out Betty. Remember Betty from before at Sheldrake's office? Yeah, she was the one who's been rejecting Joe's scripts. She didn't really like him. Anyway, Betty is Artie's girlfriend. Anyway, they all start hanging out at this party and then Betty starts talking about script writing and all this stuff. Anyway, so then she's asking him to help her with the scripts. They start getting a bit too close given the fact that she's with his friend. Anyhow, while he's at the party though, he gets a call from Max saying that Norma has harmed herself and that she's really upset and he should come home. So he comes home because he feels conflicted, obviously because of what happened, right? So he decides to just get just to sort of accept the situation, and he's trying to reassure her. Meanwhile, though, he is doing secret meetings with Betty, trying to work on this script together late at night. Norma's kind of picked up that something's going on, but not necessarily what it's about. Just more the fact that he's like leaving, right? So it's a bit sus for her. Anyway, Norma then goes, you know what, this Salome script, yeah, I'm going to send it to my old mate, Cecil DeMille, right? So that big director from back then, massive silent movie director. Well, now he like just does normal speaking movies, or the talkies. So Norma wants to send it to him and get his approval for it, and so they can make it. So she sends it off, and then eventually she gets a call, and it's from Paramount, and she thinks that it's from Cecil about her movie and about Salome. I get there, DeMille's not really sure why she's there, right? So we are like, oh, hang on a minute. He wasn't the one who called her. So he has sort of some sort of secret talks, trying to work out why she thinks that he called her and why she got a phone call in the first place. Well, it turns out someone called because they want her car for another movie. How embarrassing. Anyway, so Norma thinks she's like entering back into Hollywood, etc. DeMille doesn't really like let her know that that's not why she's there. So he kind of just avoids telling her that it's the car that they want and not the screenplay. And he tells people like, forget about the car, we're not going to get it. Anyway, so then Norma ends up undergoing all these like beauty treatments to make herself look young again so she can go back and play Salome and, you know, revisit Hollywood. Joe's kind of struggling with Norma, but he's also working with Betty, so that's sort of balancing things out. But then they start having romantic feelings for each other, even though that's his best friend's fiance. Best friend's gone shooting in Arizona, so he's far away. So all throughout this time, Norma really thinks that she's coming back into Hollywood, and she thinks that she really is cared for by people. And the reason is that Max the butler was actually her ex-husband, Norma's ex-husband. And he used to be a silent film director, right? He's the one who made Norma a star, apparently, but now he's working as a butler. But he's been like secretly writing fan letters, okay? He's been pretending that he's a fan, or he's fans, to make Norma think that people still care about her in Hollywood. So that feeds her delusion. And so she starts going into this really detached from reality state. Joe's doing these secret things with Betty in the background. But Norma starts cluing that maybe something's going on with Joe and someone else. So she thinks that he's going to leave her. Norma calls Betty and insinuates that Norma and Joe are kind of together. Okay. So then Betty comes over to the house because Norma tells her where she lives. She doesn't know she's Norma Desmond. And then Joe realizes what Norma's done, and he's like mad at Norma, right? Understandably, he's pretty mad that she's done that. But then when Betty comes, Joe is like, yes, it's all true. He starts being really cold towards her, right? Even though they've clearly like have feelings for each other, and that he's like, no, I know, I don't care anymore. This is benefiting me. This is working out for me. You know, all of this situation, I'm getting all this money and wealth, etc. So then he tells Betty to leave, but then he goes and tells Norma that he's leaving as well. So he starts packing all these things, and he's like, no, I'm gone. I'm done. I'm gone, right? But he starts becoming really, really cruel and telling her, you're not having a comeback. Hollywood doesn't really care, etc. So they sort of have a bit of an argument with each other. She's begging him not to leave. As he's packing his bag and walking away, Norma shoots Joe in the back, and he falls into the pool. So that body that was found at Norma's house was Joe, okay? So Joe was in the pool, shot dead. And then we come back to where this story all began, right? So he's been found in Norma's pool, and all these police and journalists are all there, right? And they're all trying to work out what's happened and like, how did Norma end up killing someone, right? And so Joe, for once in his life, is getting all this attention, but it's too late because he's getting it after he's dead, right? So, and then I heard that in Norma's room, there was all these journalists and police officers there, and they're all just trying to get information out of her, but she's like fully checked out. She's like checking herself in the mirror, and they're like, bro, you killed someone. And she's literally just, you know, looking at her skin and all of that. And it isn't until Max, the butler, comes in and says that DeMille's ready for you downstairs, the director, that she starts getting up to go downstairs. Right? So then everyone is on the stairs and at the bottom. Max is at the bottom. There's cameras, there's journalists, there's lights. Everyone is just everywhere. And Norma starts coming down the stairs like she's going onto set. She fully thinks that she is going to be in the movie. Right? And she goes down the stairs, like she's full checked out. She has no idea of what's actually happening in reality. There is no indication that she is aware or thinking that they're there because she killed Joe, right? She starts coming down, right? And then she goes, oh yeah, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. Oh my God, DeMille wasn't even there. Anyhow, yeah, so that's what happened. That's what happened with Norma and Joe. And that's all we know. That's all we know. We don't know anything more what happened after that. But yeah, Joe died. Betty disappeared. Norma fully checked out of reality. And all for what? For what? So I hope you liked this first episode of Spilling the Tea, where we talk about our texts in VCE English and in Year 7 to 10 English in a little bit more of an accessible way, in a gossipy way. Okay, because at the end of the day, if we view these texts as if it's goss, hopefully it becomes more interesting, especially for those of you who are not a huge fan of the subject. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what other texts you'd want. There's some few more Year 12 ones coming as well though. Good luck. Enjoy.